click on that and it opens up the chat for you.
It says,
Have you
I
got
don't see anything that says chat. It says messages from audience will display here. So
Yep,
this
that's
is a private chat, but I'm not going to do the private chat. I'll just go.
messages from the audience.
Okay.
That's it there. And we're live.
Awesome.
So thanks for joining us, Rita.
Thank you for asking me. I really appreciate being on the show. I've seen some of your work and it's fabulous. So thank you so much for inviting me. I really love it.
Sorry, I hope you didn't hear that. I just got kidnapped. I just got kidnapped.
Oh, no. I said, thank you for having me. And I really appreciate the opportunity to come on your show and, talk to your viewers and update them on what's going on. Oh, good. I saw the first message, Life on Makeup. Hello, Life on Makeup. Thank you.
So they'll probably take a little bit to roll in, but I did have a live stream just half an hour beforehand, and we had about 90, I guess, on the stream, so we should be right. They will trickle in. So I want to jump into it too quickly until we've got some viewers on, but I'm just thinking I had a topic that I thought we could start with, and it jumped out of my head because of the bloody interruption. Let me think about where would you like to start? I'll give you the option.
Well, you know what? I mean, people can throw something in the chat if they want, or I could talk. Thank you. I'm not going to let the old bastard disrespect me. He's showing himself. He's showing himself. He's showing his true colors to everybody. And, that's what he's doing.
So everyone's excited to see you, Rita, just as excited as I am. We've got some great topics to discuss tonight. We've got 3 topics, I think, we decided on tonight. So we got heaps to come. So we'll just wait for a few more chatters to pile in. Rita.
And I see Bonnie from Massachusetts, New Bedford. Hello, Bonnie. And I'm just looking to see the comments. Thank you, Sherry D. I really appreciate your comment. Somebody said, how about the letter? Oh, is that the letter? Are you talking about the threatening letter? Masha? And
threatening letter?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And, while we're waiting to start, whenever you want to stop it, I really we here appreciate all the support from all over the world, and it keeps us going. Like you have no idea. We're fighting an enormous battle, and to have people supporting us from all over means so much to us. And
we love supporting you, Rita. And let me just say, I have been so stoked that every standout, someone's been bashing one of my tunes. I've been so stoked. I've been like, yes, that's what I did it for. I did it so you had copyright-free music to blast wherever you wanted to. And I've been stoked to hear it. Like, even the last standout, I could hear one of my tunes blasting in the background. So, yeah, we're happy to support you.
Yes. It's so good. It's so good because this issue impacts all of us. This isn't just Canton, Massachusetts. This impacts all of us. This is about democracy. This is about leadership. This is about who's running the show. And, I have never been involved in politics before. I come from the private sector. I have worked all of my life. I went to school for college, 14 years nights, and then I had my daughter, got married, whatever. And government ran, and that was okay with me because it wasn't something that I was interested in. It's just not something, And then what happened was I heard about this case, and I knew something was wrong. And I had to listen, and I had to stand up. It was a call to action. It was not something I could sit on the sofa for and watch from the stands. I couldn't do it. If you want, I can tell the story of how it all happened here in Canton. I mean, in terms of,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
a good idea.
so
That's
it
a
happened in my neighborhood. The murder happened. I live in the same neighborhood. It happened in my neighborhood. And when it first happened, it was reported that it was an accident. And so I thought it was an accident.
Mhm.
And I
So did
chalked
I.
it up to an accident, a very unfortunate, tragic accident. And I hadn't heard anything. So a whole year goes by and I hadn't heard anything, which I thought was kind of odd because usually when something like this happens, there's an arraignment. We saw the arraignment
Yeah.
and then you hear pieces of information that come out. And I don't really recall seeing anything, which I thought was kind of odd. A Boston police officer dies. And usually when an officer dies, the whole entire police across the whole country band together. We're going to
Yeah.
get whoever killed that person. And that didn't happen here. And so I was, I thought that was strange, but, I'm going about my life.
Yeah.
And then I started in spring of 2023, people started saying there was buzz that she was framed. And the buzz was coming from Turtle Boy.
Mhm.
I didn't know who Turtle Boy was.
Neither did
And,
I.
so I didn't know anything. And then I was at a funeral and I ran into a neighbor of mine and who lives in the neighborhood. And I knew people weren't talking about it. I knew it was a sore subject. I knew it was like a taboo topic.
Yep.
And so I said to her, on the QT, I go, okay, what's going on? What's going on? I'm hearing she's framed.
Yeah.
And so this person said to me, you've got to listen to Turtle Boy. And he is an independent journalist and he has the case filings and he goes over them.
Mhm.
And so for me, that was a little bit incredulous. I'm saying to myself, I said to her, I said, so I'm going to listen to somebody by the name of Turtle Boy, and he's going to tell me how the Canton police, my hometown of 45 years, framed somebody for murder. Is that what you're telling me? And she says, you got to listen to him. And I was warned that, he was on the right side of the
Politics.
political thing. He was on the right side, but he wasn't so extreme. He was a Trumpster, but he wasn't so Trumpy. And so I said, okay, I'll listen. And I'm not sure. So I tell my fiance this story, and I said, we got to listen to this. So we go on YouTube, and I'm new to YouTube. I've never been on YouTube before. And so I go to find the show and find what I'm looking for. And it was kind of, I'm not used to this. I wasn't even used to his website. I visited there because that's where I'm trying to find him.
Mhm.
And so I started listening to him. And I will say that it was shocking for me, his show, because I'm used to mainstream media. I was not used to YouTube, independent
Yeah.
journal. I wasn't used to that. And so I heard things that I didn't agree
Talking
with.
bobbleheads, we call the YouTubers, talking bobbleheads.
Yeah. And I was like, but what the message? So, I would block out, because there were things there that, maybe I agreed with, maybe I didn't agree with. But there was a lot of noise. And so I had to like block it out to hear the message. And so I'm zooming in. Hello, Mississippi. And so I'm like listening, focusing. And plus it's a confusing case, in addition. So it's like, you really got to concentrate in the beginning because there's so many players. And I had to do a flow chart with who's related to who just to keep it all straight. And oh, there's Joe Biffle. Joe, hello, Joe. Thank you.
Hey,
And ciao. And so, I'm listening to it. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. The first time I'm listening to him, and I know he's on the money.
Mm.
And I said, "Oh my God!" And it was riveting. And my fiance and I are listening to him, and so that's how it started.
Yeah.
And um, I didn't know Karen Reed. I didn't know the people that were involved in this.
Mhm.
The Albert family lives in my neighborhood. Uh, the kids went to the same school as my kids. I
Yeah.
heard the name, but that's all I knew was the name. I didn't know. I worked full time. I raised my children. So I wasn't a stay home mom. And so I wasn't around town. I'm living my life, working and raising my children. So I
Yeah.
didn't know what was going on around town. And then in July of 2023, about 6 weeks after I started listening, maybe 8 weeks after I started listening to Turtle Boy, um, I'm going to a select board meeting. Never went to a government meeting before ever, that I can recall.
Mm,
And this time I'm going because something's wrong in my town.
mm,
And it's a funny thing because my first meeting, I was going to go. My fiance was going to go with me. And then he's like, I'm not going to go. So then I wasn't going to go. I said, all right, we'll just watch it on TV. Well, we watched it on TV and the chief was up and I am, um, it's a blackout.
yeah.
So I'm watching and the channel is blacked out. They blacked out the chief. They didn't play her in real time. And apparently, so I
Mhm.
thought, what's going on here? It
Yeah,
didn't seem right.
that's sus.
And I said to my fiance, I'm going to town hall. Something's up. This is blacked out. Something's out. And it turns out that it was just a technical issue. But I didn't know. And that was my first meeting.
Yeah.
And the chief would not answer questions. Um, and she did speak to us in the hallway, one-on-one. She did agree to meet with people one-on-one, but would not meet with a group of people. So that's how the whole thing started. And that's how I started going to the meetings. And then as I'm going to the meetings, I'm meeting more and more people.
At that stage when she refused to meet with you, you weren't associated with Turtle Boy or anything then, were you?
I'm not associated with Turtle Boy. I support his journalism. I support what he has done for this case. And I didn't know who he was
No,
before all this happened.
you
And
know the McAlberts have all associated you with Turtle Boy since then.
oh, they have. Oh, they
I'm
absolutely have.
thinking this was early in the stage, but when Chief Rafferty had no reason to do that. Do you get what I'm saying? Like when she refused to
Oh, she
meet
did have a reason to do it. She's trying to protect her people. She
of
did.
of course,
She's trying to protect her people. And
of
as we saw in the trial, Chief Rafferty was in the Sally Port. So she had legal reasons to do what she was doing. And yeah, she could run a Waffle House. I understand
Mhm.
from a legal standpoint,
Mm,
but that's not what your uh, residents want. And so people wanted answers, and she said she can't say anything about the case. And so, okay, well, we wanted other questions answered, and we weren't getting any place. And then we ended up, and so what happened was actually this is a good segue into tonight's topic. So what happened
right.
was they were not answering our questions. The chief of police reports to the select board. The select board oversees the police. But they said, nope, we're hands off. We don't get involved. We let the police department run and we don't do anything. Well, that's not how it's supposed to be. And so the select board wouldn't meet with us. And when they had the meetings, they wouldn't answer any questions. And then, and then the chief wouldn't meet with us except one-on-one. And she said
Mm,
she couldn't talk about the case. And then she would meet with people one-on-one and talk about nothing but the case.
you're right.
But she didn't do it in an open forum. And so, between that, we said the only way we're going to get an audience with them is to have a special town meeting. So what we did was we did a petition and we got signatures. We had to get over 300 or 250 signatures maybe to have a special town meeting. So we scrambled to get the signatures to have a special town meeting, and then we deliver it to the town and we say, okay, we're going to have a special town meeting, here we go. And we blindsided them because they did not they had no idea it was coming.
Didn't
And
expect
so basically now we're forcing an audience with the select board and the chief of police. And so we had a special town meeting in which we approved the audit of the police department.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's important for people to know that the annual town meeting in Canton is in May. And normally, and it's multiple nights and they run hours and it's very laborious and very, there's no, it's just people don't have that kind of time. And so only like 250 people go. Well, for the special town meeting, we had to rally people to go because we were going to be voting on action.
Yeah.
And so when we normally have 250 people, we rallied 2,000 people to show up for the special town meeting the week of Thanksgiving, which is one of the two biggest holidays in this country. Thanksgiving is on a Thursday.
Yeah.
An extraordinarily busy week here. And we had the meeting on a Monday night. 2,000 people who normally do not go to the annual town meeting put aside their priorities and went to this meeting. And it was under very hostile conditions.
It was.
And we voted in the special audit of the police force, which blew their minds because they didn't think it was going to happen. And, it was very hostile conditions and it happened. And so then the only thing that they could do to ensure the outcome that they wanted, and they actually did that before. So even when we went in with the article to vote for the police audit, it was decided by the town employees, Randy Scollins, that, and the lawyer who said, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that we needed to have 3 people appointed by Randy Scollins and 2 people by the petitioners. Well, that leaves the 3-2 vote. And that leaves them getting what they want, regardless of what is presented.
And it's so obvious that's what they're doing. Like everyone watching it could see that that's what they were doing.
Yes, yes. And so that's what they did. And, they sabotaged it. And there are other meetings where the moderator picks the committee members. But in this case, they said the procurement director had to pick the committee meeting members because anything else would be illegal.
Yeah.
And, they just kind of made it up as they went. And they forced it down our throat. And so then Kathleen and I, so the audit gets approved in November. And so we feel great. We're going to restore trust in this town. We're going to, my experience with audits is you go in and, I've been in the financial industry. I'm accustomed to financial audits. And they look at the policies and procedures, they pick some random transactions or whatever and events, and then they audit those. And that's the way it is. And if they find something, they find something. If they don't find something, okay, that's great. That's what you want to know, to make sure that you're in compliance. And Kathleen and I were following up with Randy December and January, trying to figure out, because the petitioners told us that they wanted us on the committee. And then Randy Scollins appoints Bob, who was the strongest and most vocal opponent of the audit in the special town meeting, the most vocal opponent. That's like taking somebody who hates football and making them a coach of the team that you want to win the Super Bowl. Not going to happen. And so we tried to change that. That wasn't going to happen. And he rejected the will of the people who wanted me and Kathleen to be on the committee. And he decided he was going to do a fake election and mail letters to people who petitioned for the town meeting to have
mailed all the townies.
Yeah. And so, and he, so he came up with this cockamamie fake election. And so I decided, because he was jerking us around, that I was going to run for select board. And I had 2 days left to run. And I decided to run for select board to ensure the integrity of the audit. And so when
this is a financial audit, or this is an overall audit, like procedures and policy and financial?
It's procedures and policy, really. Yeah. I'm sure payroll will come in there, but that's really what, it's, I don't think it's like, how much did they spend on this, that, or the other thing. I think it's high level, where can you improve kind of audit. And, so,
And this
so
is
we
how
did,
guys do oversight, is that right?
we don't have a citizens oversight committee. And that's something that would really be nice. Um,
For
but
sure.
that's for another day, that's for another day because we have too much going on right now. And, so, I mean, that's, and so then Bob mailed out letters to people or told people to email him in to vote. So we were hopeful that I was going to get on the select board. So we said, okay, let's put forth Kathleen and Dave Clow.
Mm,
Dave Clow was on the finance committee. And so we said, let's put forth Dave Clow and her because we thought that I would win the election. And
yeah.
I missed the election by 181 votes.
Oh, we
But
thought you were sure to win it too.
right. But the thing about it is what people don't realize is we normally have 4,000 people turn out on an election. And we were able to rally the town and increase voter participation 50%.
Holy crap.
So while I lost by 181 votes,
You still,
I
that was a
increased
win.
voter participation by 50%. And that's because I made it exciting to vote. And I said, let's celebrate our rights to vote. Let's celebrate our First Amendment right, freedom of speech. And let's celebrate the fact that we live in a free country and we're able to vote, and let's go exercise that vote.
Mhm.
And we had a 50% increase, 2,000 people more. So to me, that's the victory. And now, Dave and Kathleen are on the committee with Bob and the other two.
Yeah.
And this is where we are. And we are actually where we thought we would be with the sabotaged committee.
And so I guess
compromise.
the big question that's on everybody's mind
Yeah.
is, did the police come and carry you away the other
Yeah,
night?
yeah.
Or
So here's what happened, right? So I emailed Bob before the meeting, and because we're supposed to, per Robert's rules, we're supposed to be able to comment during agenda items. So during agenda items, there's no time limit, and then public comments, they give us 3 minutes, and so we, I emailed him, and I wanted to see if I can get some information in advance so I'd be prepared to contribute to the conversation during the agenda items.
yeah.
And Bob, as Bob is, nope, you cannot speak. You cannot speak until public comments. And I hope you don't make a scene and try to speak sooner. And like you always do, something like that.
Yeah.
It's just typical Bob. I just kind of let it roll because,
That
it's
dude
Bob.
grates on my nerves.
And so I tried to do what he asked. And so I sat there trying not to say anything until it was public comment time. And what I saw for about 15 or 20 minutes that it felt like to me
Mm,
was Bob verbally abusing Dave.
yeah.
And I saw Dan Muse, who I will not refer to as Dr. Muse, because no doctor I have ever encountered would ever be so arrogant as he is. And I will say,
Who's the one that endorsed solo cups? Wasn't that the same
yeah. And
doctor?
so I will say, Jack Kelly, I don't know his background, I don't know anything. I will say that I like him the best. And I will say that I feel that, whether his heart's in the right place or not, I have no idea. I have to assume that it is. I feel that Jack Kelly is much better at communication, much better, superior communication skills than the other two. As a matter of fact, you can put the other two together, and I think Jack Kelly excels at communication. And
Yeah.
so what happened was, so we're sitting in the meeting, and I'm watching this, and usually, Bob is and Muse are abusing Kathleen,
Mm.
and
And
and Dave.
she's undergoing chemo right now, isn't she?
Yes, she is. And they
Yeah.
could care less. They
No,
could care less.
no.
And, and for a doctor, you have a patient in front of you that is going through chemo treatment and you're still rude as hell. It's wrong. It's wrong, but it's a reflection of him. It's a reflection of him. Everybody's watching this. So if he's comfortable in his skin behaving this way, then go for it.
Mm,
I
mm,
frankly wouldn't want anything to do with a doctor like that. But that's just me. And I think he's an emergency room doctor. So people in the emergency room really, I guess, have no choice. I don't know. Maybe he's not emergency room, but if he is, emergencies, you don't
maybe
have
they use solo cups in an emergency.
exactly. He's okay with that. And he says, oh, Sandra Birchmore, the Canton police had nothing to do with that. I mean, come on, that's the legal party line. The feds already told us that there's a problem. We
Mhm.
know 5 police officers that had involvement in that case spoke to the feds and were uncomfortable ruling that a suicide. So
Mhm.
Bob is just Muse is disingenuous.
Mhm.
For Muse to say that he never met Randy before, it's disingenuous. Give me a break,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So Randy shouldn't have been in that meeting. So I'm sitting in that meeting, and I don't know, maybe 15 minutes go by, and I'm watching this abuse happen.
Yeah.
And and it's upsetting to me because I'm collaborative. I've always been collaborative, trying to work with people, trying to listen to people, trying to come to solutions
Yeah.
that are, consensus basis. And, and I'm trying to help. Bob has the meeting going off the rails. It's always going off the rails with Bob.
Yeah.
And I'm, and he won't let the audience speak. And the problem with that is people in the audience, people have different expertise. People in the audience could help to try to soften what's going on and it could help to redirect in a positive direction. But when you get somebody who takes the mallet out and smacks you over the head and won't let you speak, it's hard to help
Yeah.
change the direction of that meeting
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he won't listen. And so what happened was Dave said something, and Randy was sitting 2 seats away from me. And Randy shouted back at Dave, which is a violation of Robert's rules.
Yeah.
Bob said nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I said, well, if Randy can yell, so can I. And so I said something, and I don't know what I said. I think it might have been with NBC, what NBC caught. We're trying to help, and
Yeah.
you're yelling at us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I get thrown out of the room. He throws me out. Meanwhile, the director of procurement, sitting right beside me, yelled before I did. And it just went, no problem with him. And so I wasn't going to leave because I didn't do anything wrong. And so Randy pulls out his phone to call the police.
Yeah.
And
Seen,
so I'm
well,
sitting
we
there.
didn't see it, but yeah, we heard that.
Oh, and so Randy's sitting there,
Funny.
like Randy does, and Randy's calling. He's like, he's such a Randy. Mm, whatever. So he's sitting there dialing on his phone, and I'm like, what a boob, right? What a boob. And,
Totally.
and so he calls, and then I hear him say, yeah, something about the meeting, and we have somebody, whatever, somebody misbehaving or whatever. And I said, it's Rita Lombardi. It's Rita Lombardi. So, like, go ahead. You're going to call the cops on me. Bring them down. Bring them down. Tell me what I did, right? I didn't do anything he didn't do.
Yeah.
And so then I'm sitting there, and about 10 minutes later, the cops show up. And I look out because there's a door, and the door has the top half of the door is a window. So I look out the window, and I see a sergeant out there, and I see 2 other officers out there. And I said to myself, you got to be kidding me. And I did not want to put those officers and that sergeant in a situation and have it recorded. I didn't want to do that. That's not who I am.
No,
And
the point of these meetings is to have them recorded doing their cheeky rubbish. So I'm with you there.
Yeah. And so, so I saw them out there and I said, I'm not bringing that in here. I'm not making a scene. And so I went out, because I want to say this, people understand, I say it all the time. There are good and bad everywhere. And I believe there are more good than there are bad.
Yeah,
And I believe the same is true for the Canton Police Department. It doesn't matter. You have a few people that do not conform the way they're supposed to and go rogue. It
yeah,
makes everybody look bad. But that doesn't mean everybody's bad. It just means you got some people, bad apples, that need to be addressed. And
exactly.
so I stepped out in the hall and I had a very good conversation with the sergeant. And we went, I said, listen, this is what's going on. He's yelling at us and he's abusing Dave, and this isn't right. And we're trying to collaborate, and this is what's going on. And so we discussed it, and he said, well, Rita, he's the chairman. I said, but he's not being effective.
Yeah,
He's not being effective. But he was like, well, he's still the chairman. Okay. Now I come from the private sector.
yeah,
And, for me, I believe the police and the military, you do what your commander says. And I think that's the same thing here in town. It's like, well, he's the chairman, so you got to do what he says. Well, not if the chairman is off the rails. That doesn't make sense to me. If the chairman is being an ineffective, abusive, and belligerent chairman, then the fact that he's the chairman does not automatically get him respect. And so I looked at the two officers and the sergeant, and I said, listen, I don't want to make your job any more difficult than it needs to be. So
yeah,
I will leave, and
yeah,
I will go in there and I will tell them that I'm leaving. And because I rode with a couple other people. Usually I take my own car, and I rode with some people, so I had to tell them I was leaving. And so that's when people saw me go back in, and I said, Bob, I'm leaving because you have requested that I leave. And I'm doing this for them. And I pointed to the police officers in the hall, because I didn't want to drag my town through any unnecessary situation.
mm,
I left for the police officers, not for Bob. I left to respect the police.
yeah,
And that's what I did. And I am happy that I did that. I feel good that I did that because I did the right thing.
you did.
And um, and then I went outside, and I stayed outside for the rest of the time. And some people came out. And then I kudos to Dave Clow. I mean, kudos to Kathleen and Dave Clow, right? Dave Clow is speaking out, and he has children, and people don't speak out because they have children. And Dave is speaking out, and Randy, once again, spoke out from his seat because he's arrogant and because he thinks he can. So we all have to, there's two populations here: those who get to do what they want and not be held accountable, and then the rest of us who have to adhere to rules. And if we break the rules, boom. But if they break the rules, no problem. Well, Randy spoke out again. And this time, Dave Klaus says, I make a motion to toss Randy because, I just got tossed. And then they voted 3-2. And then when they were called out on it, then Muse, to maybe a little credit, realized, I don't really think it's to his credit. I think he didn't want to be in considered bias, which he is.
Yeah,
And he said, take the vote again. And then he voted to have Randy removed. But then he put a caveat at the end saying, because it's going to move the meeting along. No, that's not why Randy was removed. Randy was removed because he spoke out. And, and then they broke several meeting violations. There were several meeting violations that happened during that meeting. And then Muse, when it looked like Muse needed to communicate something to Bob because he was trying to help him. And so he says, "Oh, let's take a 5-minute break to cool off." You didn't need a 5-minute break to cool off.
Yeah.
Bob wasn't cooling off. And they went into the hall, and Randy went into the hall. Randy was not supposed to have any discussion into this. And they come back 2 minutes later. And basically what Muse said, or Randy said, one of the two of them said, I'm sure it was Muse's idea, and Randy, two of them, just look at the legal has already done this. We're going to vote 3-2. Let's just skip this dialogue, even though it's required in Robert's rules to discuss these items. Let's just skip it and get to the end. So Bob goes back into the room, doesn't even think, just blurts out, well, this is the way it's going to be. It's going to be 3-2. So let's just get there now. Let's just cut to the chase. And, they're so obvious, but what they're doing. And, there's nothing straightforward about that. Nothing.
But there is a long game here that I would like to just describe for the audience. The long game here is when this started and Rita was able to get, a couple of thousand people to turn out. And then she was able to get, a few thousand people to vote. Now she's got the whole freaking world watching.
Yeah, I know.
So this is the long game, guys. You'll think
it is the long game.
You'll think it's useless that she goes in there and does that. Well, you think twice now because they now got the whole world watching them. Before they had the locals watching them, and then they had the voters in the general area watching them. It's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and the more protesting that they do, the more eyes that are on it, the more eyes that are on them. Let them make fools of themselves while the world is watching.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what's happening. And the sad thing is they don't get it.
They don't realize it. They still have it hasn't clicked yet.
No. And these guys have been doing what they have been doing for so long and have been unchecked that they just I think it's major denial in them, and they just think, oh no, it's like double down on the lie.
It won't happen to us. We've got all the right people on our side. They won't let anything happen to us, but it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. It's going to happen.
Yeah. And, and somebody mentioned, I thought you were yelling too. I was. I sat there trying to be quiet, and if I was, and when I watched somebody get verbally abused over and over and over again, I could no longer stay quiet.
That comment
was yes, I was yelling because and was it professional? No.
That wasn't at you. That was at AB because I told AB to stop shouting at you.
Oh, okay.
While you were talking, don't shout at the guest.
I did yell, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to collaborate, and Bob wasn't collaborating. And, Bob wasn't collaborating. He just wasn't. And he's in charge of building the new middle school for the kids. And I think it's like $150 million project. I cannot imagine that man leading any initiative, let alone $150 million initiative. I just can't imagine it.
Oh man. He's not the brightest spark. He's not the brightest tool in the shop.
No, he's not. No, he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
I knew it was going to be one of them. Thank you.
Yeah, he's on the top. And the thing about it is, I look at Bob like Bob's Bob, right? And that's just who he is. Yeah. And I've really been trying. I've been emailing him. I've been looking at stuff. I've been saying, can I get a list of who has come in for bids? Because I'm trying to look at some of these companies to see if, look, I know there's 5 people on the committee. I know I'm not on the committee, but that doesn't mean I can't care. And, I was really trying. And Thursday night was a major, major disappointment. I mean, not a shock, but a major disappointment. And then to have Randy sit there and call the cops on me for doing exactly what he did, it's taken it to a whole new level. So we are going to hold Randy accountable, and he is hired by the town to do a job. And if he's not doing that job, he will be held accountable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've learned through this whole process, and this is what I hope people get, is this thing called Freedom of Information Act. And we can request records, public
Yep.
records.
Yep.
And that's what we've been doing. We've been requesting records to learn what's going on in our town. And we've been showing up at meetings, and we've been seeing who's been running the town, and
Mm.
we've been opening up our eyes. And for me, that's what I hope everyone sees. I was never involved in government. It ran, and I was okay. It ran, doesn't run anymore.
Yeah.
We see the quality of candidates that are getting into office. We need to take more of an interest, or we could lose our freedoms. If
Yep.
we let the wrong people get elected into office, we could lose our freedoms.
And it's so easy to sleepwalk your way there. Like
Yeah.
I know that here in Australia we have done that. Like we don't have a right to protest. So if we want to have a protest here in Australia, we have to write to our local police station and request it. And
Really?
if you're not a proper organization with proper insurances and third party property and all this sort of crap, they'll say no, you can't protest. So
Wow.
and then if you go ahead and you just have a protest without speaking with the police, first of all, we've had multiple people arrested for arranging protests on Facebook and stuff.
Really?
And then when we actually do, just have a spontaneous protest where everyone just turns up, the media comes in and they stir up stuff like get some people arguing and they film it, and then the cops will just jump in and start beating on people. And then before you
Wow.
know it, you've got the media going on the main news channels going, oh my God, the protesters are so violent. So that's how it goes down every time.
Wow. So
So we
we're blessed, you
yeah,
know, but if we don't use our First Amendment rights here and stand up for what is not right, we will lose those rights,
you can
and it's on
sleepwalk your
you
way
don't
into it.
have it.
If you're not looking and you're not paying attention, it's all going to happen and you're not even going to realize it. That's pretty much what
That
happens.
it's going to happen, and what's going to happen is the wrong people are going to be in power. They're going to change the rules, and then trying to change them back is
That's
going to
right.
be monumental.
That's right.
Monumental. So freedom isn't free. You have to fight for it every
You have
day.
to work for it. Yeah,
And
exactly.
when I say fight, I mean you have to advocate for it. I don't encourage people to fight. I encourage people to use their voices, use
Advocate.
facts, and
Yeah.
communicate and
Yeah.
work resolutions with each other. And if we don't stand up for what's right now, when it's so blatantly obvious, we
Yeah.
we have a problem. And the people in this movement are loving people, they're compassionate, and they're hopeful.
That's right.
And, you know, so for people to say, we've done this, we've done that, that's not true. That's not true.
I don't see that
There may be one-off
anywhere.
events, there may
Yeah.
be one-off events, but as a whole, that's not true. On the other hand, the other side is terrorizing. And
God,
what
they're
they're doing
awful.
is domestic
God,
terrorism.
yeah, they're awful. Just to, quickly, before we branch off into that, is there any recourse for the citizens' rights being violated at these meetings?
So they violated the rules the other night. They violated the rules. And I
The
imagine, and I think people are
consequences.
already writing in, um, to address that. And I was on I've had discussions, and I'm having more discussions over the next few days as to, what our potential recourse could be. So, but Thursday night's meeting was wrong, and the world saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's not Canton. that doesn't represent Canton, and we need to fix it, and we will. We
Mm.
will. I mean, my goal is to restore trust in this community. My goal is to bring us back together, you know, and maybe we were
You're
never
certainly doing
together,
that. You're certainly
you know.
doing that. It's been
Yeah,
beautiful to watch you guys. I mean, that's why I get inspired to make videos when you're out there doing the things that you're doing, because it's awe-inspiring. Like, you've got so many different people from different sides of politics and different lifestyles and beliefs, and like, it's such a huge mix up of different people, and you're all getting along, and it's beautiful to see. I love to see it.
beautiful. Oh my God, is it beautiful? And, it transcends politics. People don't care where you are politically. It transcends geographics. Look, we're all over the world. I'm talking to you in Australia. It transcends age. People were bringing their children, their
Right,
babies
right.
to the sidewalk. I call it the sidewalk. That's where, yeah, and the other side said it was a circus. It was not a circus. What was a circus was the
Was what the
court.
way they behave.
The whole way they handled this case. That was the
Okay.
circus.
Yes.
You know, we were happy protesters, and we don't really call ourselves we're supporters. We were supporting an innocent woman, and we were happy doing exercising our First Amendment rights, and we were happy because we knew truth and the facts were on our side. And
Yeah.
we believe, and we still believe, that justice will prevail. And so we are there rooting for truth.
Yeah.
So, you know, people say tailgating. We weren't tailgating, but yes, we were cheering. We were cheering for our team. And our team was the team that was telling the truth. That's who we were cheering for. And that's who we continue to cheer for. We are cheering that good will overcome the evil, and
And
that evil will never overcome good. And if we don't have that hope, then we don't really have freedom. We
that's the way
have
it's
to.
been throughout all of history, of all of the bad empires that have ever arisen. It's always been the good that's overpowered them. It's been that way throughout all of history. And I believe that you guys hanging on and continuing to do what you do, I think that it will prevail eventually.
Yes, and we believe it will too. And sometimes this journey that we're on is exhausting, and
For
and we need
sure.
to take a break, and we need to recover
Yeah.
and refresh, and then we get back up, and we
Yeah.
get back out there again. And the people that have come together are the best people in this world. And this issue, what we're dealing with, has brought people together because we align on our values,
Right.
and we align on truth. We don't agree with everything that everyone who comes together believes in, but we do believe in truth and justice, and we do believe it's wrong to
Yeah.
try an innocent woman for a murder that she did not commit
Yeah.
and she was framed for. That is wrong. And sometimes people say, oh, well, you associate with this one and you associate with this one. Look, I align where I align.
Yeah,
And
who
where I don't
cares?
align,
Everyone's getting along. Get over it.
yes. And where I don't align, it gives us the opportunity to have some kind of a dialogue. Maybe we can understand each other better. And, the best people have reached out to us from all over. And people have reached out every time we needed somebody with certain expertise. Somebody stepped forward and says, you know what, I can help you. I can help you. And it's amazing. There's feeling no like it. People, when the trial was going on, people would come down to the sidewalk just to feel the love.
Yeah.
I've never experienced anything like this
I
before.
wanted to be there. I was watching you guys all sharing the love, and the way you were with the families, and I just wanted to be there with all you, and that's what inspired me to keep making videos, and even the music, like, just I wanted to be there with you, and that was the only way I could do it, was to, like, to capture those moments. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It was, and people came. Like, we had somebody from Scotland, and she was talking to somebody from Scotland. She was FaceTiming, and she walked down, and and so we're talking to her, and we had people come from all over, all over. It was an historic event. It was historic. It was history. I was there every day, and you know um and this impacts me. I mean, this is my town, and what people don't know, I mean, I'm sure they know by now, but when people in Canton speak out, we get terrorized. Our families get terrorized. Our
right.
families are divided. We have lost relationships in our life because of us speaking out and because of our positions. Our
Yeah,
loved ones have lost relationships in their lives because of us for speaking out. And it's tragic and it's sad. And I hope we can get some of those relationships mended. And if we can't, then it is what it is.
yeah,
It's sad. We have gained so many more people, and, so many people who share our values. And I have people in my life, so many people that I didn't know a year ago. And even showing up at the meetings, I didn't know these people because I didn't hang out in town. I was living my life. And
yeah,
it has opened up a whole new world of love. And that's what, so when people say there's bullying and stuff like that, that's not happening. It's not happening.
yeah.
10 weeks I was there, it was not happening. And Grant is a perfect example, because Grant was being Grant.
Great point.
And we saw that. And what we did was we pulled him in and we befriended him. And we worked to show him a positive way. And we developed a very good relationship with him. And he did soften his reporting on Karen. And that was the goal, is to soften the reporting on Karen, because he was listening to all these people that were filling his head with garbage,
Yep.
and he was spewing it out. And we were showing him what we were all about. And that kind of altered how they portrayed us. We were not how they portrayed us. We never were.
Yeah. And I think too, like, that the point where I saw it turn around is where I saw he started to turn around. He kind of fluctuated for a bit, but that first point where I seen it was when he tripped on the stairs, and then people went to
Yes.
help him get back up again, and he was so surprised at that.
Yep.
And he sort of went the other way again for a bit longer, and then there was another point where I saw you guys were actually filming, probably Tom filming you and him having a chat,
Yes.
and then a
Yep.
little while
Even took
after.
pictures of them. I
Yep,
took a picture of them.
yeah. So
You
yeah,
know,
it was interesting to watch his whole thing change. Like, he's still posting, the same kind of crap on X, but to see
yeah,
him
that's
out there,
because he doesn't have our influence anymore. So
right?
I'm not on X. I will never be on X. It's a cesspool. I don't have time. And people go, "Oh, you can get rid of the troll." I don't have time. When people can't speak or post under their true identity, I don't have time for that.
Yeah,
If you want to talk, let's talk. Real. Let's be who we are. But to hide what I see on, and some on Facebook too,
mm,
but mostly on Twitter, is people go up under, um,
fake
fake
names.
alias, fake names, and
Yeah.
they can spew as much hatred
Oh,
as
it's
they want.
awful. It's
Yeah.
awful, and it's not coming from our side. Like, I see from our side, I see a bit of fun in stirring the other side, but it's not
Yep.
nasty. It's not low level nasty, like using the pedo word against people, and I don't know. Rita, the stuff I post on my community wall, like when I see it happening, I call it out. But I'm showing my audience what's going on X, because a lot of them won't go on X
Yeah.
to see what the attitudes are. But every time it's something really low and really bad, like the total murder, for example, things like that,
Oh, that was bad. That was bad.
I
That's what the other side does. That's what the other side does.
right.
We've
I
never
post
done
it
anything like that.
so that my guys that don't like X can see what they're doing. And then when they accuse the FKR side of doing stuff, my guys are already aware that they're the ones that are doing this stuff because I've already showed it to them, you know? So
Yeah. And I
that's,
see some people put in comments that, it's not their real name, what they have here. And that's okay. You don't have to use your own name. You can use, whatever works for you. But when you have a fake name and you hide behind it
yeah,
and spew vitriol, you know, and hate,
yeah,
that's where I take issue with it.
yeah.
Auntie Deb is a fake name. Auntie Deb is a fake name. It is. And, so I'm speaking about people that use fake names to destroy people and
Yeah,
to tear
it's
them
a different thing. Like I use Aussie Insider because it was a blog name and it fitted with what I was doing at the time.
down. Yeah.
And I'm sure many of yous out there don't use your government names for whatever reasons, but
Yeah.
you're not out there hiding behind, these insulting names. Like a lot of
Yes.
them are just insulting names and spewing hate and threatening to hurt people and spreading lies about people just because they don't agree with your point of view. That's it. All this stuff is going on. It ain't coming from the FKR side. So
Yeah.
I pull people up when they say things like, "Oh, well, I hope the FKRs didn't do XYZ because they're going to get blamed for it." And it's like, I don't give a shit. Whatever they're going to blame, whatever they say you guys are doing is what they are doing. It's that classic narcissism, the reverse psychology, or what is it called? Projection. It's
Yeah.
classic projection. So they give themselves away by blaming you guys for doing stuff. They give themselves away what they're going to do next. It's like
Yeah.
giving away their own secrets. We know what they're up to because of what they're trying to say you guys are doing. So
Right. They copy the positive things we do. They copy us. And,
sure,
but
they,
then,
they did
they
with
do
the
the
badge number.
negative.
The badge number thing was what I put out there, and they read that. Next thing,
Yeah.
they're all out there with the badge number, and I was like, I should have probably done that. And if I'd have just said that to you in private, and you could all just say that between yourselves, that would have been better. But I wrote it in the group, and I was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Part of, what the first thing, that I saw that drew my attention to Karen was innocent, I want to say, was the autopsy pictures. And also when they upped the charges to second-degree murder. For me, that was a huge red flag. And in addition to that,
For
what I
sure.
saw was people on the McAlberts,
Yep.
they were spewing such hatred and dehumanizing Karen.
Yep.
And that wasn't normal. That wasn't behavior that I had ever seen from family and friends of a murder victim.
Yep.
And, people get angry, and they say, well, she did this and she did this. That was not what they were doing. They were calling her names. And so between the autopsy pictures, between the up in the charges to second-degree murder and the behavior of the McAlberts were all red flags for me.
All of
And
them. Yep.
all of them were red flags.
Yep.
And then when you see, you have to believe these 50 things in order to believe that, Karen Reed was guilty. It just, and then, their theories, Turtle Boy kept debunking their theories, and then they come up with a new theory. So I never thought it was going to get as far as the jury. I thought the case was going to fall apart. I
Yeah.
really did. I
Yeah.
did not think it would get that far.
No, I didn't. You know, um, right back at the start, I was right where you were. I thought it was a terrible accident, and then because they said they had video footage of it, I was like, okay. The point where I started taking notice is when people started getting locked up for protesting about it.
Yes.
Like, America's got a lot more freedom than we have, and that only happens when the government's up to no good. And that's when I started taking notice of what was going on. But I think the turning point for me, as far as her innocence goes, was definitely when we were reading the police reports that were written by Proctor and Co.
Yeah. It's right
Um,
there.
right there in those police reports, they were just so conflicting. And then we saw the photographs, as you say. The photographs were that just broke. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. The reports were just so conflicting that they were unbelievable. But we'd also just been through the Depp v. Heard trial, where Amber Heard had entered so many statements, because every time she put a statement in and it got debunked, she had to put another statement in to make up another
Yes.
story to cover it. And I saw that with Jen McCabe in the police reports, that she kept having to add more to the story like Amber Heard did. So
Yeah.
I'd already had that sort of picture. But then when I saw the photographs, I was just like, yeah, nah, that's definitely not. That's
Right.
not what they're describing a car accident to be. Plus,
Right.
I also had the benefit of one of my lawyer friends on X and YouTube. She's a boxer, and I showed her the photos in private and said, "What do you think?" She's like, "That hand, that's definitely a boxer fracture, and those raccoon eyes, that's from boxing." She knew straight away, and then
Yeah.
yeah, then she covered the trial, and she was, I don't know if you saw that, but Andrea Burkhart, when they were like going to show um the sweatshirt. She's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we're gonna get to see the sweatshirt. Okay, show us the sweatshirt, because it can't have blood down the front, like when you get punched in the nose and blood goes everywhere, it drips down your bib. We can't have that, because that's a different story to what the Commonwealth is telling us." And then they put it on the screen. She's all right, done. I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there
Oh,
was.
that was in the back of the head. You know.
Yep, yep, sure. So
Uh,
it was just a series of these, like, one after the other, like, yeah, everything was just wrong with the whole show. The clothes certainly was sealing the deal for me, but I was already there before the trial even started. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's why, we were happy. We were happy, and we're still happy. I mean, we are um, happy people, and we are not abusive people.
yeah,
Some people may be abusive, but that's not everybody.
yeah,
We can't control other people's behaviors, and but we as a whole are positive and loving people, and we believe in truth, and we are thrilled to be able to do what we're doing because of the country that we live in. But we're not going to be able to do what are doing if people don't seize this opportunity in time to speak out. And
yes,
so many people, and that's why, these shows, in whatever way we can, and everybody here in the chat, everybody watching this show, if you can just reach out and tell people what's going on, and tell them how to get in tune to
yeah,
what's going on and join us. The more good people in this world that join us, the better we will all be.
absolutely. So the last thing that everybody came here to find out is, were you there the day the media photographed people booing at the crowd? Were you there that day?
I was there. Yes, I was there. Yes,
Did
I
you
was
know
there.
who the actual family was that day, or did you find out sort of after that? Like, that was sort of what Scott was explaining, that he didn't know who the family was. He wanted
No, we
to,
didn't know. I still don't know. I live in Canton. I don't know these people. I have to say, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? I don't know.
yeah,
And so, but what I do know is that the people that were being booed and people began to refrain from that. They just, it was just like, just don't say anything, because, you know, the people that were getting booed were the police officer friends of John O'Keefe, the betrayed friends.
Yep.
It was Carl de Gaulle that was
Yep.
being booed. His wife Jackie.
Yep.
Uh, Jackie attacked people on social media
Yep.
and
They
went
went
after
after people's
people.
jobs, like,
Yeah,
before it even went to trial, hey, they were trying to get people fired just because they listened to Turtle Boy.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and so people, the wives of some of these people, these officers, took on a role that blew our minds. And so you got Jackie DeGaulle. She trashed me. I think she called me a monster or whatever. I don't know what I did to be a monster, but she was going after people. Lizzie Proctor, Michael Proctor's wife, was calling people's places of employment, I'm
Yeah.
told.
Yeah.
That was being reported and trying to get them fired. People had businesses that were standing up for Karen,
Yeah.
and the McGalbots were putting terrible reviews on their business
Yeah.
and doing everything they could to beat the supporters down so that we would stop supporting Karen and
And
stop
it
supporting
all it
truth.
did all it did was make it bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it spread across the world, and now they're really crappy. I mean, it's just like the select board. They have
Right.
absolutely no idea what they have done.
Exactly.
Just made it
Ex-
bigger.
right. And then one thing we started doing, and I, I know, like, when people have protests, and we do not want to refer to ourselves as we're supporters, and we're supporters of truth. And,
Mm,
I know sometimes when people aren't happy with the way things are going, people resort to violence. That's not us.
mm-mm.
And so, in wanting to get more attention to this, so that people could see and help us, because ever since the story came out, the main goal has been to raise awareness.
Yep.
And
You
it's
send them that
tell
thank
people, get some help. We need help. SOS, somebody help us.
you.
And so when I just lost my thought, but so then I got pom poms, and the pom poms. Everyone loved the pom poms. I love the pom poms because the pom poms reflect who we are. We're
Yeah,
happy people. We're
right.
happy people cheering on. We're not angry people with hammers and knives and guns. That's not us.
Yep, yep. No,
We fight our battles with pom poms. So we fight our battles with pom poms, and then they call us a circus. You know,
it's okay.
because
Circus
we
is
don't
fine.
need.
That's better than violent.
It is better than violence. It is better than violence, and we do it with love in our hearts. And
The
the
LV
pom
Cops,
poms.
the LV Cops show. I don't know if you watch it. LV Cops TV.
I've seen them on. I
Mm,
don't get a chance to watch a lot of shows. I maybe watch 1 or 2 a week because I'm so busy looking at other stuff
I
and
miss a
how we
lot.
can help the town.
I
So
miss a lot too. But
yeah, it's hard
I
for me to
do
watch.
catch some stuff. But the LV Cops were saying, um, how'd they describe it? It's like, so when you have a family that are fighters, when a
Yeah,
fight breaks out, they're all in there kicking and punching. Everyone's in there doing it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, they all pile on. And while they were describing that, I was picturing Aiden going to CF McCarthy's with his girlfriend. And what happened? They all piled on. They all
they
come out
do.
and piled on.
They're bullies. They're bullies.
The only reason it didn't escalate is because all the crowd came to back them up, to back up
Yes,
Turtle Boy. That's the only reason it didn't end up in a physical assault. Although it did,
yes,
didn't it? It did anyway, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
they pile on, and you could see that escalating.
yep,
They were gonna pile on him, but then the crowd started gathering, and they were like, "Yeah, no, we can't do that." But yeah, that was when LV cops were describing that scenario, because they're cops. They see this stuff all the time.
yes,
I was
yes.
picturing it and going, yeah, that's what they do. They pile on. They do it on the internet. They pile on to everybody on X who's not speaking out against Karen Reid. They pile on
Yeah.
to them. They come after me, Rita. They're like,
They're mean. They're mean. They're middle school bullies.
yep, yep,
The
totally,
middle school bullies.
yep,
And the best way to combat a bully is to stand up to them because they don't know what to do. They're
right,
used to people cowering.
right.
And, no, we're not cowering,
No,
and that's what I think has, it's changed the game for them. It's changed the game because they're not getting the, the response that they used to, and that's people doing, giving them what they want. And no, this is wrong. And if we don't stand up for this now, God help us.
yep, yep.
Everything is there. All the information is there.
Yep, no, I'm loving what yous are doing, and I'm feeling your vibe. Like I watch on, I see your photos, I see the videos that you share. I even see, like the media goes out there and they can't even catch you doing something wrong. They want to. You can see
Yes.
they want to see people doing bad, and as soon as the slightest thing even looks like it might be wrong, they're all over it like a rash, like they
Yeah.
just want it so bad, and you aren't doing it. And I love that. I think it's great. Yeah.
Yes. And I want to just say something too. So we had the Mass State Police, guarded the courthouse. And the first day that I was there, one of the guys, his name is Mark, and he comes from Florida, and he came up and he drove by the court, and they were implementing the buffer zone, and they said you couldn't beep, which was ridiculous. But I get it because the court's going on, and they don't want people to hear all the cheering from the supporters. And so Mark got pulled over, and the person who pulled him over said, I don't need you to beep and get these idiots going.
Yeah.
And he didn't know that Mark was with us. And so Mark called somebody, and I happened to be standing next to that person. It was just early in the morning, first thing happened. And they told, I'm hearing the conversation that the person, referred to us as idiots. I said, they call us idiots? Like, it was shocking to me because what did we do that made us look like idiots?
Yeah.
And because we're not idiots.
No.
And I said, I'm going to go over and talk to him. I want to find out why he thinks we're idiots. And so I went over, and it turns out he was the head person in charge. And so then Mark comes up, and Mark, confronts him and says, you called us idiots. And he said he didn't. And then he said if he did, he apologized, which was great. And that was fine with us.
Yeah.
And so we ended up forming a partnership with him. And Mark was in Florida, so Mark had to go back at some point, because he's got a job. I mean, I have a job too, but Mark had to go back. And so I ended up partnering with this sergeant, and we had a great connection, And every day, I was in the court in the beginning. The first 3 weeks I was in the court, and I just said, I'll fill in, like I said, I'm here in the court, outside the court. I'm here. And so wherever I'm needed, that's where I am.
Yeah.
And so I was outside the court, and I knew I was needed outside the court. I knew that somebody had to make sure that everybody followed the guidelines and everybody was safe. And so while I went in the court, then I was out, and then, Mike, Sergeant Mike, he said, Rita, I know, you love to be in the court, but we really need you out here. And I knew that's where I needed to be. And every day I would say, okay, Mike, how's it going? We would check in with each other. If we needed help because somebody was threatening our safety, we went right to the Mass State Police, and they jumped right on it. And we ended up being an unbelievable partnership with them. We worked together to make sure everybody was safe. And it was a beautiful thing. It was and like I say, we respect the good blue. We support the good blue. And good and bad everywhere. We don't support cops that go rogue and that are lawless and think they're above the law. We don't support that behavior, but we do support the good blue. And we had a great relationship with the Mass State Police and the Dedham Police. And when our safety was at risk, they were right on it. And I can't thank them enough. I really can't. I was so grateful for everything that happened, and proud that we got through 9 weeks of trial without any serious issues.
Yeah,
And
you
any,
guys,
yeah.
like, for how many of yous that were out there,
You
and
know that, yeah. And it started with like maybe 20 or 30. And we were the regular people that showed up at the court, the pretrial hearings.
Mhm.
And when they moved it to the smaller courtroom, we couldn't get into the smaller courtroom because you can only get 10 people. Each side had 10 people.
Yeah.
And so we were committed to be there. And we put we were watching on my computer. I bring my computer every day and we watch the trial on my computer. And so we were the sidewalk jury. And that's what I would sometimes call as the sidewalk jury, because we were watching the case.
Yeah.
And we were able to, so outside we're cheering. I mean, one time I'll never forget is when Jen McCabe testified that she was an honest and truthful person. And we split our guts laughing.
For
And there
sure.
was a photographer there that caught the instant she said that. And we were laughing in hysterics because, obviously that's the most ridiculous statement she could have ever made.
We were right there with you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who did not laugh at that.
Yes.
Pretty sure I did a mashup. I can't remember if I did a mashup on that one. There were so many mashups, like, while things were being said, and then the reactions that the lawyers were all having to those things. There were so many things that I knew. I was like, in the moment, yes, that's got to be in the mashup. Yes, that's got to be in the mashup. But there ended up being so many of them, and I wasn't keeping notes. And so the day's trial would end, and I'd be like, oh my God, I can't even remember them all. And so I missed a lot. There was so many I missed.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
did I lose you? I didn't lose you, did I?
No, I think I'm here. Am I?
Oh, good. I was just sending something to my daughter.
All right.
So
yeah, we probably should let you get back to your family. We've had you for like quite some time now, an hour and a half.
I really appreciate it. And Sherilyn, thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate that. So thank you. And Joseph, everybody, thank you everybody for taking your time out to join the show with me and Aussie. Aussie, you're awesome. We love you. And keep spreading the word. Tell everybody you know what's going on. Raise awareness, raise your voices, and stand for truth and justice. And we will continue on, and we will prevail.
You will prevail. I have
We will prevail. We will all prevail. We will all benefit.
This is going to come good at the other end. And I actually have a really good feeling about the SJC as well, being a panel of judges rather than a single judge. I mean, because if you go by the stats on, how we all feel, we've got like 90%, all of the polls ever run on YouTube regarding the Karen Reid case, they've all come up at least 90% people going, no, this isn't right. This isn't, none of that evidence adds up. And so I'm thinking that now that it's a panel of judges, and if the stats follow the trend, I think it's going to be good for Karen Reid. And I think Massachusetts actually might get a new case law regarding some of this stuff.
We need change. We need transformation. I don't like the word reform. We need transformation. In the private sector, you call it transformation. You get transform your operating, your operations, and bring it up to current standards. And we that's what we need. That's what we all need. And this has brought us all together. This has brought the world together. Can you imagine?
I know.
This has brought the world together, all
In
the
the
good
middle of
people.
an election season when they're trying to divide everybody, everyone's
Yes,
coming together. It's really good to see.
it's so good. It's so good.
We
So
had a
thank you
similar
all.
we had a similar thing happen during the beer bug. Both sides were clashing with each other. Like we were divided as a nation over that.
Yeah,
And what happened was something, I can't even remember what it was, but something happened and everyone went, no, 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 we're all going out to protest that. And what happened was they all hit the streets and they all protested this thing, and they suddenly realized they were all on the same side for this one.
really.
And I
Wow.
I just celebrated that day. I was like, oh my God, see, like if you don't, if there's that one thing that pulls you all together, then all that division that your politicians are trying to do to so that they can win their votes,
Yes.
all of that comes undone so long as you all have the vision, that one thing that you all want. And you guys have done it, and it's been so wonderful to watch and be a part of, even
Yeah.
from the sidelines.
And and I just got to say, there's a song that I love, Teddy Pendergrass, and I did this. It's a song that's true to my heart. I mean, wake up, everybody! The world's not going to get any better if we don't, come together. And we need to create the change. We can't wait for the change. We need to wake up, and we need to come together for
Yes,
positive change.
yes,
And that's what this is all about. And we started here in Massachusetts. It went across the country, went across the globe, and I couldn't be prouder of what we've done and what we will continue to do together. Together, all of us. We're in this together. Love you all. Thank you so much for having me, Aussie. I really
thank you.
appreciate it. I'd love to come back soon.
We'd love to have you back soon. Thank you so much, Rita. And thank you everybody who showed up tonight to come and say hi to Rita and listen to what Rita had to say. I just to close out before we finish, I just want Rita to know I tried very hard to get this to be a conversation, like an open conversation with everybody, that you guys aren't the bad guys. That's what the media wants them to see, but you guys are not the bad guys. And so I reached out to Emily D. Baker and I asked her to open this conversation, to have this conversation with me. She's away and busy right now. So what I hope is that she will see some of the videos I've put out. I'm getting the conversation happening. We're all having the conversation. We're listening to you guys. You're getting a voice, which I think is the most important thing. So, and I
Yes.
appreciate you coming up and speaking on behalf of the people who have been accused of these terrible things. So, love you. Thank you
We
so
love
much.
you too. And thank you for helping us spread the word, because, you know, it takes all of us. We're all in this together. And I always paid attention to mainstream media. I'm done with mainstream media. The YouTube is where it's at.
Yeah.
YouTube is where we're getting the truth. And
Independent media, basically.
yeah, and they've done it to themselves. They've done it to themselves. I will say that there's local stations here, NBC 10, WBZ. They're doing a fabulous job of covering the story. Others, not so great, because, I think they're working with the politicians to craft the message that they want people to hear. We need the truth. We need the truth. And
Not the crafty messages, but just the truth.
the truth. We're done with gaslighting. No
Yeah,
more gaslighting. It's
yeah,
the truth, supported by facts.
yeah, exactly. All right, so I'm gonna let Rita go, and I'm just gonna go through these memberships that everyone just poured
Okay.
onto everybody. But you don't need to hang around for that, Rita. I know you got.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Love you. Spread the word. We've got this. Have a good one.
All right,
Bye
bye,
bye.
Rita.
Thank you again.
Love ya.
Love you too. Bye bye.
All right, guys. Let's go through. Now, if I've missed, your praises and everything, I'm sorry, because there's so many of you in here, I couldn't keep up. And I'm just failing at multitasking, guys. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships, Joseph. And Karen Reed is Innocent got one. Sue Kendall got one. I'm just going to say the first names. Southern Mom, Shanty, and Vicky Joe. Welcome to the channel. And Shari gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Shari. And welcome to the channel, CK. And I don't have starred comments in this particular thing, so I'm sorry if I missed your comments. Appreciate you guys all showing up and showing Rita the love. Wow, what a great evening. Have I got any memberships to give away? Let me have a look. Let me have a squizzy and see if I got some memberships to give away. So every month I can give away memberships. Oops. You don't need to hear that. Every month I can give away memberships, but I'm pretty sure I gave them away this month. So let me have a squeeze and see. Memberships. Whoops. Come back. Hey, come back. Hang on. All right. Membership gifting. Let's have a look. Oh no. I'm still here. I'm here. I thought I got kidnapped. Oh, come on. Show me what's here. No. It ain't working, guys. So obviously I don't have any to give away yet. So a new month rolls over any day now. I think it might be the 24th or maybe it's the 28th. It will roll over into a new month, and then I can shower you all with some gifted memberships myself. So thank you all for coming along. Thank you for the super chats and the memberships. It was a wonderful show tonight, Tanya, wasn't it? So the main message being that we need to give these people their voices back. You know, the media's taken it away by accusing them of all these terrible things, and it's pretty obvious who is doing all of the terrible things. Like, you don't even need to be a supporter of one side or the other to see who's doing all of these terrible things, and it's not these guys. And so, you know, my aim is to open up that conversation, let them have their voices, let them defend themselves, let them speak up for themselves. And I have every bit of confidence that in giving them their voices and letting them speak up, people are hearing them. And through hearing them, we get to open that conversation and allow other, you know, people who maybe have been afraid to before, listen to what these guys are saying. So strain. Well, is it the strain in my voice? Am I sounding really tired? Because I am. I didn't go to sleep last night. I was so excited for Rita coming on, and I laid there and stared at the ceiling for a bit. And then I got up at like 2 o'clock and thought, I'll watch a bit of YouTube. And then this damn show came on, which is a cold case in Australia that's somehow linked to Massachusetts. I was like, no way. So anyway, I was up all night looking into that. So yeah, I haven't got any sleep at all, if that's what you're talking about. I called Siri up, did I? Yay. I don't know how Siri did that, because you know what? Siri over here's got an Australian accent. And so generally only Australian accents will activate Australian series, and American accents activate American series. It's weird, but yeah. I must have said something with an American accent. Oh, you were talking. Oh my god. I gotcha. Not my voice. That was so stupid. I got you now. You're talking about the Ruru. Thank you so much, Kat. Even in this tired state, like seriously, I'm going to bed, guys. Thank you all so much. Justice for Aiden. Justice for the Canton. Well, it's Canton 15 now, isn't it? It was the Canton 9, now up to 15. But a couple had their charges dropped, so I forget what number we're up to. But yes, justice for everybody. So, thank you guys. Got a couple of live streams coming up, but I will be quiet for the next couple of days. Tomorrow I've got a pack road trip Tuesday up north, road trip back Wednesday. So we'll be back with some live streams later in the week, but I will try to upload some material for you to watch while I'm away. So have fun, everyone. Loving it. Enjoying the company. Thank you all for joining us. And I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.